weeks of strike, and now it is spreading across the country. I'm talking about the strike by school feeding caterers. Most of the caterers have vowed not to step foot in the kitchens until their demands for arrears and increase in feeding grant are settled. Now, the industrial action started with the Ashanti Regional Branch declaring a strike 3 weeks ago, citing the rising cost of foodstuff. They requested that their arrears are paid and a 97 peso feeding fee increased to at least 3 cedis. In solidarity, caterers in other regions suffering the same fate have now joined forces to drive home their demands. Organizer of the Ghana National School Feeding Caterers Association is Kwame Amankwa.
I can confirm to you that we are about 98% are not cooking. And the reason is we need an increment on our school feeding payment. And since 2019, some of our colleagues are still not paid. The most important thing is the increment of this per head of a student. For the secretariat there, we've been going there on countless time. All they say to us is we should be patient. Government is preparing the increment for us, so we should go and cook. We should go and cook with that money. How do you cook? We started asking them to increase this, the 97 pesos, not today. And the items that we are using now, it has been increase over 200%. Because when we started this program, the fried oil was 240 Ghana cedis. That is 240 Ghana cedis. But as I'm speaking to you, the oil is about 850 Ghana cedis. Until the government increase our pay and the underpayment and the delay payment, the secretariat need to call us so that we need some dialogue. But when you go there, you don't even see anybody there. If you ask this one say go and see this one. If you ask this one, say this one, say go and see this one. As for me, I can't see anything. No, this is what they have been doing to us. So that is why we decided not to cook until the secretariat engage us to tell us that no, you people should go to kitchen and go and cook. Government is preparing to pay you this amount. If they even give us this, assurance, we will go and cook.
Well, we've been visiting some of the schools. We are learning now that the strike is affecting attendance in some schools. Labor firms Nana Boache monitored the situation in some of the schools. This is what he found.
The caterers at a recent press conference said they would not be intimidated to resume cooking for pupils in basic schools. Headmaster of the State Experimental Basic School 2, Solomon Osei Kankam, says the absence of the caterers had a negative consequence on school attendance. He says students who depended on the regular school meal resisted attending classes.
The children, when they come to school, because most of them depend on their school, when they come in the afternoon, you see some of them complaining of hunger. We did advise them to bring money to school to buy food until the caterers come back. But some of them will come to school complaining that they don't have money. And it was actually having an effect on our teaching and learning.
The headmaster pleaded with the government to liaise with the caterers.
Now, because of this school feeding, it is now part of the system. So if that is out, the school will not be that attractive to the children any longer. So we are hoping and praying that government will be able to come to the aid of the caterers so that work will go on smoothly.
Some parents also called on the government to ensure the caterers fully return to post.
As a mother, I wake up early for work, so it's disturbing to find my kids go to school without the caterers not cooking. Government must consider doing something urgently about this. There are enormous challenges considering the strike action. Government must pay his debt and ensure the caterers return to schools to cook. You promise to feed the students, so do so. If you stop cooking, it becomes a problem for parents for as long as it remains a government policy. Government must do something as soon as possible.
Love News checks, however, indicate some of the caterers are returning to cook. For Joy News, Nana Boache Dankwe Yadom reporting.
Alpha Siba speaks for the School Feeding Secretariat and joins us on the line right now. Alpha, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. Appear to have lost him on the telephone line. I believe we still have with me right now the rep of the National School Feeding Caterers Association, who also is with us right now. Let's get into what progress they've made so far in getting some resolution to the issues that triggered their strike. Kwame Amankwa. Hello, Kwame Amankwa.
Hello.
Great that you joined us. So let me ask you straight to the point. I mean, since the strike was declared in the Ashanti region, have you had any sit down, any assurances from the Secretariat or the Ministry?
No.
None at all?
No.
So what has happened since you called the strike? Nothing?
Nothing. Since we started the strike, nothing.
And from what we're hearing, you're getting solidarity from some of your members in other regions?
Solidarity?
Some of your members are also joining this particular strike?
Now, as I'm speaking to you, the 16 regions, all of them are also on strike. Because it's the same situation.
The Ashanti Regional Minister, I remember in the first day you called the strike, he came to meet you, he was upset. Have you attempted to meet him again?
No. Somebody who will accept to us, how can you go to him again?
So you've decided not to engage at all?
Yes, we decided not to engage. What we want us to do now is we will continue on the strike so that we are expecting the Secretariat to call us.
And they haven't called you?
No.
So as far as you're concerned, you're not calling off the strike?
Until we engage with the Secretariat, we sit down and talk about our money, the increment especially. I'm always saying the increment. Because you cannot cook per student 97 pesos. It's impossible. Whenever you start doing this, then you are killing the kids. The nutrition, the core nutrition that we are supposed to cook to them. We can't do that work with 97 pesos.
And you want at least 3 CDs, is what I hear.
Now we need about 3 CDs, 50 pesos.
But even 3 CDs, 50 pesos per person?
Yes.
What food are you going to serve any person in today's Ghana with 3 CDs, 50 pesos?
In fact,
I'm wondering. I mean, 3 CDs, 50 pesos. What food can you provide a child with that amount of money?
Mensah, we've been cooking for 97 pesos. We've been managing. So at least sometimes we need not to consider your alone. We need to consider other things. So if they are able to give us the 3 CDs, 50 pesos, we'll manage to cook for the kids.
Now you got me curious. So tell me, as a caterer yourself, I believe, if you got the 3 CD 50 pesos today, typically, what food will you serve a child in a day? What food? What would that? Rice.
We have the menu. We have the menu. Monday we cook rice, either plain rice or whatever, and Tuesday beans. So as I'm speaking to you, when the thing is in bulk, so when the government is able to give us 350 pesos, it's in bulk. So as a caterer, we will manage to cook for them, and they will get the nutrition. Because we started cooking the 97 pesos for about 2 years now.
I know you've done it on just over 90 pesos for a long time.
Yes.
But how does this affect the quality of the meals that you give the children in the classroom?
The 97 pesos.
Even if let's work with the 3 pesos you're asking for. Even with that, can you guarantee the quality of the food you give to the children or you cook for them?
For the 350 pesos, we can manage.
I know you use the word manage, but will it provide all the nutritional values for the child and in quality and in right quantity?
Not that much. But not that much. I will say not that much because 97 pesos we were able to do it. And if he's giving us 3 CDs, 35 pesos, this is hallelujah for us now.
So this is an admission that yes, even with 3 cedis 50 pesos, it will still be a struggle to give them the food that will be fully nutritious and in the right quantity. But at least you will manage with that.
Yes.
And do you know how much you're owed? I understand apart from the increase, you're also owed some arrears.
Yes, yes.
Do you know how much?
Oh, it's an individual something, but for me, I know mine.
What's yours?
And some of them are even put on paper. You see?
Thank you very much, sir. And that is the organizer of the Ghana National School Feeding Caterers Association, Kwame Amankwa. If you are a parent with a child in a public school, I want to hear from you. 3 cedis. That's what they are asking for, right? So let's work with what they currently have. They get 97 pesos per child to feed your child. 97 pesos to feed your. You're now fighting for just about 3 cedis to feed your child. You just said him admit, yes, it's going to be a challenge, even if we get 3 cedis. But we'll manage. I want to hear from you. 055-1111-997. If you're a parent or you have a child in the public school, I want to hear from you on this particular subject. Now we're hearing in the Ashanti region after 3 weeks of strike by the caterers is affecting school attendance. And so, if you're affected, you can send us a WhatsApp. So listen to NewsNight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, if you're one of those who still not re-registered your SIM, brace yourself, because now the National Communications Authority will deactivate that mobile SIM card. More than 11 million of you will be affected, and you have 1 month ultimatum to ensure that you complete the SIM card re-registration process. According to the authority, that is the NCA, many of the owners have simply refused to register the cards, whereas a handful of the cards belong to Ghanaian nationals serving overseas and those without Ghana cards. The NCA says owners of unregistered SIM cards have up to the end of May to register them or risk losing them completely. Director General of the NCA, Joan Noche, says more than 25 million SIM cards have successfully completed stages 1 and 2. He addressed a news conference earlier today.
Based on the statistics that we showed earlier, there are about 11 million active unregistered SIMs. 11 million active unregistered SIMs. Now, who do these SIMs belong? They belong to exempted SIMs from Ghanaians on national duties outside Ghana, foreign diplomats, refugees. So Ghanaians on active duties outside Ghana, foreign diplomats have been exempted. But there's also recalcitrant subscribers who have Ghana cards but have refused to register. In fact, there's a lot more of them. Some subscribers who have registered some but not all SIMs. There are a few of us who may have 5 SIMs, but we register 2 and we leave the 3. And of course, subscribers who do not genuinely have Ghana cards. How do you address this? One of the things to note is that active mass SIM registration for existing SIMs is coming to a close. As mentioned earlier, we have 11 million SIMs which are yet to begin the registration process. So listen to this. The subscriber of these unregistered active SIMs have up to 31st May 2023 to complete their SIM registration or have their SIMs deactivated, delinked from the network.
Well, already some people have been taking off the register completely. Joan Noche says these are people who are recalcitrant and have failed to complete the second stage of the process.
In the process of this exercise, 6,178,452 SIMs have been delinked from the SIM register. So when I say the SIM register here, I'm referring to the cumulative SIM register. So these SIMs were SIMs that existed at the beginning of the exercise, but currently they do not exist. They've been delinked or removed from the SIM register. Why were they delinked? These were SIMs that completed stage 1 but did not complete stage 2. So if anyone completes stage 1, it presupposes that they have They have a Ghana card. So they have a Ghana card, they began the process, registered for stage 1, did not do stage 2, and they've been completely delinked from the system.
Well, he also faulted some mobile network operators for allowing their platforms to be abused and for allowing individuals to re-register their SIMs without completing the process.
At the beginning of the SIM registration exercise, the MNOs complained that a lot of their agents did not have smartphones required for registration of new SIMs. As a result, MNOs were allowed to continue to use their legacy platform, which only required the future phone for registration. This opened the process to abuse by some actors in the registration process in stage 1. As part of the monitoring process, the NCA uncovered this abuse and immediately directed all MNOs to discontinue use of their legacy platform for registration. We wish to assure the general public that the SIM database has not been breached. In the first place, there has been no unauthorized access to the SIM registration database.
Well, the Ministry of Communications earlier gave July 31st as a deadline for the exercise. Later, that was changed to 30th September 2022. The ministry, in a statement at the end of that deadline, insisted that all SIM cards which have completed the first stage of the registration exercise but not the second phase will be blocked from accessing data services on 20th November 2022 and completely deactivated on 30th November 2022. Joining us now for a conversation on this on the back of today's briefing is a Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Communications Committee, Sam George. Mr. George, thanks for your time here on NewsNight. First of all, there's a part that I know you've raised issues and asked the NCA to look at the abuse of the process already. We just had the NCA boss there fault the mobile network operators. Fair?
Good evening to your listeners. First and foremost, the NCA is playing the ostrich. How can the NCA DG, and I know Mr. Joe Anoche personally, I know his technical capacities. What he is saying is simply playing the ostrich. How is he, as a regulator, blaming MNOs by word of mouth? What sanctions have applied to them? What systems were put in place by the NCA when the MNOs were asked? Because don't forget, the MNOs didn't wake up on their own to say they are going to collect this data. It was they did this on the instructions of the NCA. What plans did the NCA put in place to ensure that the system was not abused? I've had the opportunity to read a text that he read from today in his press engagement. And it's very problematic that the NCA is setting his own questions and not answering the questions that we asked them. We spoke about a breach of citizens' data, because a breach of data by any international standard is the unauthorized use of personal information of an individual without the consent and prior approval of that person. If we have instances where MNO staffs or assigns have used the Ghana card data of citizens without their consent and without their prior approval for registration of cards, that constitutes a breach. The breach we are talking about is not a breach of their subscriber central database. No. No, sir. Mr. Regulator, what we're talking about is the breach of the data that was collected by data processors who are regulated by you, the NCA. And so that is the question they must be answering. I read page 4, and I think it's paragraph 2, if my memory serves me right, where they talk about the challenges with the previous SIM card registration exercise. And they claim that the first thing he claims there is that the passport was used and the passport was not verified. And when you come down later in the text, he says that they've used the Ghana card and it's been verified. That's a lie. The regulator should not be telling a lie.
Why is that a lie?
Absolutely. No MNO verified the data on the Ghana card when registrations were done. And that's been one of the critical issues we've raised about this whole SIM card re-registration. Because don't forget, in April 2020, if my memory serves me right again, the NIA, through its executive secretary, Professor Ken Atefa, issued a statement, and we've had conversations on that statement on your network, where they stated categorically that they could not verify or vouch for the integrity of the data being collected by the NCA through the MNOs, and that there was no way they could verify using their system. And Evans, it is just simple knowledge. When you go to the MNOs, and if you use the self-service system, you are asked to take a picture of yourself. You are asked to submit your biometrics yourself. Now, you are having people who use an iPhone, whether it's an iPhone 8 or an iPhone 10 or 12 or 13, people using a Samsung S20, A04, S23, Techno phone, Huawei phone. I mean, all kinds of phones are being used with different pixel strengths to take this data. How do you expect the NIA, which has a standard for its data, to then use various source equipment to do cross-matching and cross-referencing? There has absolutely been no verification with the NIA.
Let me ask you, I'm curious, Sam. I remember when I was registering mine, you give your Ghana card, which is really the basic document. I wonder, in terms of verification by the MNOs, isn't it simple that you look at the card and check the person standing in front of you to check if it matches before you do? Because we've heard that one Ghana card has been used by 10 people, for example. Isn't that the responsibility of the MNO to check at that point?
And that's the point I'm making. If the MNOs, the system the MNOs were using was verifying data from the NCA, you would not be having the challenges that you are having where people were able to register with other people's cards.
But Sam, I mean, using your eye, you can determine, right? I mean, if you are, I'm standing in front of you and you're registering me, I give you my card, you look,
no,
this is not Evans Mensah on the card.
Let me explain the system to you for the purposes of your listeners. If the system the MNOs were using, the telcos were using, was cross-referencing and verifying the identity of individuals with the NIA database, it will mean that when I appear there today and I present a Ghana card, they would have to check, and they take my biometrics. It will run a cross-reference with the EFI system of the NIA to verify that biometrically I am the same one and the same person. But because that is not happening, that is why unscrupulous elements in the MNOs can take your Ghana card details and just go ahead and do a registration. And if today, and look, there are instances where people have offered money, 50 cedis and 100 cedis, to staff of MNOs, and they have used other people's Ghana cards to register. So I can appear there with, I don't have a Ghana card because I've gone to the NIA office a number of times and they say they don't have cards. And so they've not been able to register me. But if push come to shove, I could have taken your Ghana card, gone to meet somebody at the telco office, offered a little money, and they would have used your Ghana card to register a SIM card for me.
Then it's right to hold the telcos responsible then.
But whose responsibility is it to monitor and regulate the telcos? Is it not the NCA?
Yeah.
Did the telcos wake up on their own to say that they want to do a SIM re-registration? The telcos did not build an app for the registration. All of that came from the NCA. Whatever system the MNOs are using to do the registration came from the NCA or got approval from the NCA. So did the NCA do due diligence to ensure that the systems that the MNOs are using are foolproof and robust enough to ensure that first and foremost there will be no breach or theft of citizens' data and that there would actually be a verification of the data being used? The NCA and who is the regulator has slept on his job. You've slept on your job and you are working, and then you wake up finally and you want to come and punish everybody for your failure to do your own job.
Let me ask you finally, they've announced another deadline for those who haven't finished, that they will remove them, 11 million so who still haven't completed the process. This is another extension of that deadline. There are many who believe the NCA simply hasn't got the courage to go ahead with that. What do you make of that?
Ivan, when the NCA said they were going to deactivate SIM cards that had completed stage 1 registration but not done stage 2 registration, I supported it. Because you cannot do stage 1 if you don't have a Ghana card. So if you've done stage 1, it presupposes you have a Ghana card. And so then you have no excuse not to go and do stage 2. So I would support the NCA any day they say they want to deactivate SIM cards that have done stage 1 and not done stage 2. There are some exemptions in that category. People who did stage 1 and misplaced their cards. Those people need to use the call center. But for people who have not got a Ghana card at all, not because they don't have, but because they have gone several times to an NIA office, and the NIA office says, we don't have cards and we cannot take registration, or we are dealing with backlogs. How do you punish them for the inability of the NIA to give them a card?
You're one of those?
Absolutely.
Oh, I see. So, and a member of parliament, you still don't have your Ghana card?
I don't, because I've refused to use the VIP system. I want to use the regular system. I have gone to the NIA office in Pampa, and they are dealing with backlog cases. They do not have whitelisted cards to issue now. They are still dealing with people who registered in March 2022. We are in April 2023. So that is the kind of backlog they are still dealing with.
So you're one of those possibly part of the 11 million that will get delinked.
That is wishful thinking of the NCA, to think that they can just wake up and punish people for the inability of the NIA to complete his job. And Evans, let me just give you this scenario, and it will be the last thing I'll say. You remember that on the 31st of March, when Parliament was rising, the report of the Committee of the Whole, which is 275 members of Parliament, including the Minister for Communications, Etlautu, said that we were going to reject the CI in this state as has been proposed by the Electoral Commission. Why? Because we said that if we went ahead with the CI using only the Ghana card, the position Parliament, 275 MPs, including the Minister of Communication, held, is that not enough Ghanaians have secured their Ghana cards, and that it will lead to a disenfranchising of legitimate eligible Ghanaian voters. So Parliament agrees in a bipartisan manner, including the Minister for Communications, who oversees the NCA, that we cannot accept the CI because the only flaw there is that you are using only the Ghana card. And Parliament went ahead to suggest remedies to it. So how does that same minister now turn around and tell us that by end of May, she will deactivate all SIM cards that have not registered using only the Ghana card, when she herself, for the purposes of her re-election, is fighting that the EC should allow other cards to be used, or wait till the NIA has completed at least 98% coverage of the country for her re-election. That is her position. Is it not hypocritical to then turn around and say, but for SIM cards, even though we admit that the NIA has not met a required threshold, we will then go ahead and block it? You see the hypocrisy and contradiction in policy position.
Well, Sam, you have 1 month now to register or get.
Do you think the NIA has the capacity to reach 98% coverage in 1 month?
Well, I mean, it doesn't come down to what I believe or not. You have 1 month now. What do you plan to do, because you still don't have a Ghana card? If you don't get it before the 1 month,
I will go back again and seek to register. But until and unless they issue me a card, you cannot punish me for something that I have no control over. Okay. And that is the logic that the Minister for Communications herself agrees to for her re-election. So if it is good for her re-election, it should be good for the registration of my SIM card.
I'm tempted to ask you, I mean, this inability to access a Ghana card, you just want to make a point, right? Because is that what it does? Is that what it is?
No, I have refused to be treated as a VIP because members of Parliament are given preferential treatment. And that's my point. If all members of Parliament, the 275 who sat in the chamber and agreed in the Committee of the Whole that we should reject the CI because in all of our constituencies, we have not had a sufficient registration of Ghana cards. If they had all refused to take the VIP treatment, and we were all together united in demanding that the NIA is resourced to do another mass registration exercise to mop up the whole country, maybe we'll be going further. But because many people have taken advantage of the VIP system, today they have Ghana cards. But the people who should go and vote for them don't have the Ghana card. So you can call it whatever you want, but I am standing on the principle. It's about the principle. Why? So if I wasn't a member of Parliament, then being a member of Parliament makes me a preferential citizen.
Sam George, thank you very much. And Sam George is the deputy ranking on Parliament's Communications Committee. What do you make of his position on this subject? By the way, as I repeated, the NCA has given him and 11 million of you 1 month to make sure your SIM cards are fully registered, or they will, you'll be taken off the registry completely. Let me hear from you. Still ahead here on NewsNight, we continue our build-up to the NDC primaries with a focus on the Ejewaso West Wuogon constituency, where friendships are ending amid allegations of party sponsorship of a candidate.
I am Beverly Broom. We settle for details now. And senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School, Seram Kawa, is of the view that the downgrade of Ghana's credit ratings to restrictive default will further worsen the country's efforts at securing an IMF deal on time. Fitch, in its latest report, also downgraded Ghana to CC from CCC and subsequently withdrawn the issue ratings on 5 local currency bonds issued prior to the domestic debt exchange program. Now, Fitch attributed the ratings action to missed payments on some of Ghana's local currency bonds issued prior to the domestic debt exchange. Speaking on the issue, Mr. Kawa said the downgrade could affect gains made with external creditors for debt restructuring.
We have seen these downgrades before the debt restructuring. After the debt restructuring, we are witnessing same and further downgrades. What it means to us is that it will become very difficult for us to get the IMF bailout. It is also showing us that the country is not doing so much in terms of us working assiduously with the external debt creditors so that we'll be able to get the IMF bailout. Missing out on the IMF agenda for April tells us that there is a lot of work that we need to do in order to get the deal.
Now, the Bank of Ghana must begin steps to help capitalize banks in the country. This is an advice from senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoah. He argued that the 400 million cedis minimum capital requirement for banks is not enough to build a resilient and strong banking sector amid the macroeconomic environment. According to him, the Bank of Ghana would have to reconsider its capital requirements for commercial banks, else that could have major implications for the country going forward. Dr. Amoah spoke to Joy Business.
What is happening now is all losses that are being recorded now will have to be absorbed by the banks. If there is any shortfall, then just like the central bank is saying, the owners of these banks will have to increase or bring in more capital so that the banks can be comfortably capitalized to do their business. But then the bigger discussion should be, is the 400 million minimum capital still enough? Looking at the environment that we find ourselves in. Clearly, the 400 million, if you ask some of us, it is not enough. The banks must contribute more than 400 million if we are to have a resilient and a strong banking sector, considering the macroeconomic environment that we find ourselves and the vulnerabilities that the debt exchange program has exposed the economy to.
You heard the senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoah. We stay a bit longer on the banking sector as economist Professor Godfred Bokpin has stated that the financial positions of banks could be worse than what have been captured in their financial statements for the year 2022. Banks in the country have been hit by more than 6 billion cedis loss due to the domestic debt exchange program. Speaking to Joy Business, Professor Bokpin stated that the true situation is worse since the Bank of Ghana has decided to suspend the international financial reporting standards, which would have shown the actual financial position of banks due to the domestic debt restructuring program.
Actually, the losses you see the banks reporting is actually lower than what it should have been. And the reason is that because Bank of Ghana effectively suspended the application of the International Financial Reporting Standards, especially IFRS 9, IFRS 13, and the rest of them, we ended up using a lower discount rate, essentially ranging between 15.67% to 21%, which is actually lower than the market interest rate that the IFRS demands that we apply if we had used that, then the losses would have been in excess of 80%. Now we are accommodating losses in the range of up to 40-41%. And that is what you see that it looks more presentable.
Professor Godfred Bokpin is an economist. Now, Blow Group has unveiled Nana Mama Brown as the brand ambassador for its Bell Pack tissues. This follows agreement between the parties in promoting Bell Pack tissues, which come in three main types. Marketing executive for Blow Group, Magnus Day, believes unveiling Nana Mama Brown as ambassador is consistent with their brand, which stands for care, love, quality, and other attributes.
When we invited Empress, she took her time. She actually put us in a little suspense because she needed to be sure that this product is good. Bell is a great brand. It's a household name in Ghana. But if you are doing tissue as well, she has to be sure that the quality is there. The superior quality as compared to what is on the market, she needs to be sure before she gets on board. So she took some time and she did all her research and gave us feedback before she decided to come on.
Let's now hear from Nana Mama Brown touring the Bell Pack factory at Tema Free Zones Enclave.
Everybody knows Nana Mama Brown in Ghana, and they know that I always want quality. So first of all, our visit here is to see how hygienic Bell Pack tissues are produced.
And that's the end of business news on NewsNight, brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery and Alliance Life. I'm Beverly Brome.
Thank you, Bev. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console right now, and many of you are reaching us about the school feeding crisis across the country. And also sharing your thoughts on the subject of Galamsey and the SIM card re-registration. This one has no name, but it says, President Nana Akufo-Addo, you don't have money to feed school kids for only 97 pesos, and you say you can offer quality free SHS, he's asking. And this one from Walanyo in Adenta says, how can we send children to school and rely on the government to feed them on 97 pesos? What sort of food are they being giving? The 3 cedis they are asking for is too small. An egg is even 3 cedis. I thought they say they give them an egg a day. Well, that's Walanyo's point there. And this one from Fafa, who says 3 cedis, 50 pesos. And even then, they can't pay for it. Are we serious at all? Cut down the cost of ministers and use that money to pay for our children's feeding. Misplaced priority. I'm so disappointed in this president, he says. And this Kofi Seru says, no matter the scale of a well-trained caterer, 97 pesos cannot be used to prepare quality food for our kids in a basic school. Sami in Kumasi says, if the Ghana card is the only requirement for the SIM card registration, why is it that people who simply do not have the Ghana card will be punished? Abuchi says, those who are cooking for the peoples, what is the quality of the food? 97 pesos can't buy common pure water. The government need to wake up. The arrogant behavior of the Ashanti Regional Minister says is getting out of hand. And a final one on the subject of the environment in Galamsey. Lincoln Nakweteman says Environmental Protection Agency should be stronger in the fight against illegal mining than the task force set up by the government. And then there's some George matter with the NCA. This texter says, some George, such a sensible, patriotic citizen. We need more of such lawmakers in Ghana. So live here on NewsNight is on Joy 99.7 FM, and this is your election headquarters. And we continue our build-up towards that crucial NDC national primaries that will elect both parliamentary candidates and presidential candidates as well. Yesterday, we focused on one of the presidential aspirants. Today, we are in the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency, where a fierce battle is already ensued, dividing and putting two friends against each other. Now, the NDC managed to bridge more than 10,000 vote gap between itself and the MPP in the 2016 elections to less than 2,000 in last elections. Actor John Dumelo, you know him, who led the NDC to battle in the 2020 election, is facing fierce competition from fellow actor Fred Nyama and lawyer Moses Befia Champon. Now, the process leading up to the May 13th election has been marred with allegations of betrayal and efforts to protect John Dumelo. Not even their close friendship will be spared in this. Kweku Asante has been to the community and came through with a special report.
Following what many described as an outstanding performance in 2020, John Dumelo expected that he will run again on the ticket of the NDC unopposed, but he is facing fierce opposition from a person he considers a friend and fellow actor Fred Nyama. John Dumelo also has to contend with fast-rising politician and lawyer Moses Befia Champon. But even before the party's nomination were open and close at the time, John Dumelo and Fred Nyama were engaged in a media war, accusing each other of betrayal.
And then he's saying I gave his blessing. When did I give his blessing? When did I give my blessings to him? On my birthday, or my birthday, and I say, he came there, and you bring out a releasing a flyer. After that, or send him long text message, and I said, Fred, I never told you I am not coming back. I never gave him my blessings. I never told him in the face that, Fred, I am not coming back. I think that is a betrayal. That's a stab in the back. Obi me for almost 20 years. That's a stab in the back. And I said, Prime Minister Dobelus, number one, he's a liar. Number two, I will not come back. Number three, I never gave him my blessings. Now, no, Fred, does he deserve my blessings? Does he think politics is a joke? Or does he think we are joking around? No, on over to my MPP.
I'm not going to blame my brother. Let me be honest with you. Come up, my brother, and can't say, or call the other side. Sir. So, I called on him. If one never gonna only say John Echo, sir.
The NDC made significant inroads in the Ayawaso West Wogan constituency in the last general election and will be hoping to build on that in a bid to wrestle the seat from Deputy Majority Whip Lydia Al-Hassan. Moses Befia Champon, who is seeking to lead the NDC in that constituency, is alleging a plot to have John Dumelo run unopposed. He insists he is confident he will win the primaries and win the seat for the NDC.
It's inappropriate and it is surprising that the party, after making the required payment, after going through all the necessary procedures, would surprisingly make a U-turn that actor John Dumelo should be the only person to be vetted in Ayawaso West Wagon.
The party is yet to even hold vetting in the constituency after Moses Achampon and Fred Nyama faced challenges in filing their nominations online, which has stagnated the election process in that constituency with less than 3 weeks to the NDC scheduled primaries. Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbandi, is parrying away suggestions it is seeking to give John Dumelo an unfair advantage.
National Executive Committee or the party at any level is not doing anything to impose a candidate on a constituency, and that will not be allowed to stand if even there's that case at any part of the country.
The Ayawaso West Wogan constituency was created during the 1996 election, and over the course of the last 6 elections has been won only once. That is the 1996 election by the NDC, with the NPP winning the last 5. The NDC says it is doing all it can to win this seat this time. For Joy News, Kweku Asante.
Well, in that particular constituency, the process leading up to this primary has been fraught with a lot of controversy. Let's get some clarity on whether the process is not complete because some of the candidates, their nominations were on hold, etc. Let's speak to Mr. Tetechai, who joins us on the telephone line right now. He's a Greater Accra Regional Secretary of the NDC. Theophilus Tetechai, thanks for your time here on NewsNight.
Thank you and good evening. You and your listeners.
What update can you give us on the process towards the election of a candidate for Ayawaso West Wagon?
Thank you very much. As you are aware, prior to the vetting, we had communication from our national leadership that due to some challenges in terms of the filing process, some sort of investigations has to be done, and that the vetting should be upheld for some time. So the vetting committee went ahead and did vetting for the other constituencies. Fortunately, yesterday there was a first meeting. Certain decisions were also taken, and that was Tuesday. And as I talk to you now, 2 more constituencies have been added for vetting to be done. Unfortunately, that of Ayawaso West Wogon was not included. So as a vetting committee and as a region, we are still awaiting the final decision from our national leadership. Once the decisions are taken, it is incumbent upon the vetting committee to do its work.
So as we speak right now, there are no cleared candidates in Ayawaso West Wagon.
No, because vetting has not been carried out.
But the elections, it's just a little over 2 weeks away.
Hello?
The elections are just over 2 weeks away, on the 13th, I believe, and that is too close. You believe you can still do this in time for people to still finish campaigning? Because people need to be certain that they are actually being cleared so they can go and campaign fully.
Well, once people decided to pick nomination forms, campaign all over the place started. As I talk to you now, in most of the countries, in fact, just today or yesterday, Amasaman, which was on hold, and Ayawaso Central, which was also on hold, they've gone through the process, and tomorrow vetting will be done for Ayawaso West Wogon, Ayawaso Central and Amasaman constituency. And once the vetting is over, people are clear to go. So as for the campaigning, it started very early, and people are still campaigning. Nobody is being stopped from campaigning until you are finally given the nod. You have the freedom to do what you have to do to secure the mandate of your people.
Well, thank you, Theophilus Tachai there, giving us some clarity on the situation in the Ayawaso West Wagon constituency. Still no candidate there yet. They haven't even been vetted yet, but the process is just 2 weeks away. Let's do sports now, and Ms. Bao is here with the very latest. Hello, Ms. Bao.
Hello, Evans. Well, let's just do a bit of Ghana Premier League before the game between Manchester City and Arsenal. I'll bring you some updates on that. And it's Heart of Folk who are in the news because they were trashed by Tamale City earlier today. The host Tamale City ran out 4 winners, but Samson Eduku meet net in a brace, while Mohamed Iha and Isaac Mensah also found the back of the net. The win sees Tamale City climb 3 places clear of the relegation zone and gives them hope of avoiding the drop. For Heart of Folk, on the other hand, it put in a lackluster performance that left their fans clearly disappointed. Well, let's hear from Heart of Folk physical trainer who had to sit in as head coach for the side after the game.
Still goes on. We don't know what may happen at the later part of the season. We just keep our focus, we concentrate. Whatever will be as an error that we weren't able to adapt to, we'll go back home to fix all those errors. Actually, I would say, when it's not your day, it's not your day. But we keep to tell them they should keep supporting, because without them, House of Folk also is not House of Folk.
And for the head coach for Tamale City, he was quite hopeful that the team will avoid relegation.
Just work in progress. Looking at where we are, there was nothing we could do than to take these 3 points. Knowing very well that we have another important match on Sunday. Tactics worked for us. We plan getting the early goals, which worked perfectly for us. It's business as usual. I'll tap up the good things from here and prepare for Sunday.
So that's Hamza Mohammed there for Tamale City. And of course, the game between Manchester City and Arsenal is just about to get underway. 3 minutes, and the game will get underway. Of course, we can see Erling Haaland in the starting lineup, and the son of Erling Haaland and he scores.
The stadium is looking delicious, actually.
Absolutely.
Just look at the
and guess what?
lining up.
Prior to the game, Manchester City actually brought out their Premier League trophy from last season.
Oh, they did.
They did. And we understand it somewhere in the stands as the game is underway.
So what's the purpose? I mean, I think it's a psychological game.
Absolutely, it's a mind game.
Get the fans behind them in this game. They need that. Because really, if they win this, that's it. It's really that. I don't see Man City dropping any more points between now and then.
After the victory, I just want to see how.
Let's go through the lineup for Man City.
For Man City, you can see Edison is imposed, Kyle Walker, John Stones, Ruben Diaz, Akanji in defense, Gundogan, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne on midfield, and Bernardo Silva Erling Haaland and Jack Grealish leading the attack for Manchester City there.
You know, well, we have like De Bruyne in there. Look at the back; is really settled.
Yeah.
You're going to have Akanji taking on Saka, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
He's gonna take on Saka.
We can go through that of Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal. Aaron Ramsdale is in there after that howler in their previous game. He still keeps the post for them. Benjamin White is in there, and he returns to the side. Rob Holding, Gabriel is in there. Alexander Zinchenko all making the defenders there. Martin Odegaard, Thomas Partey, and Granit Xhaka, of course, in midfield for Arsenal, and leading the attackers Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Jesus, and Gabriel Martinelli.
And the Ghanaian interest is right there in the middle. Thomas Partey.
Yeah.
Is going to be crucial if they're going to do well here.
Yeah.
He needs to stop Kevin De Bruyne because he supplies the passes.
Going to be difficult to stop Kevin.
But we did it. We did it in that game when we scored them 2-1. We stopped De Bruyne. If you stop De Bruyne, you win the game possibly because you are going to blunt the effectiveness of the man called Haaland. Well, you want to catch that game? Feel free to do so on your favorite, English Premier League service. Updates, of course, in text on myjoyonline.com as well. Enjoy the rest of it.